There is a very specific kind of dog owner, the kind that understands their dog, the kind who has done the learning, the reading, the reframing, and knows why their dog reacts. They know why fear shows up the way that it does, and can probably explain your dog's behavior better than most people. And yet, if this is you and you're being honest, life with your dog still feels harder than it should. It's not chaotic all the time. It's not hopeless. It just feels a little stuck. If that's you, I want you to know something right away. This isn't a failure point. It's a very specific phase. And it's one that thoughtful, compassionate dog owners reach all the time. Because there's a moment where understanding your dog stops being enough and something else is needed. And that, my friend, is what we're talking about today. Today on the podcast, we are talking about when understanding your dog just isn't enough anymore. And if you know, you know. If you're like me and you've been somebody that has done all the things and tried all the things and retried all the things and then thought, maybe I need more dog sports or maybe I need a different equipment. If that is you, because I get it, I want you to know that you are not alone and you are in the right place, and this podcast episode is for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. Before we jump in today, I just want to invite you to a space that exists outside of this podcast, because sometimes these conversations really just need a place to land. So if you're listening along and you're quietly nodding and thinking, yep, that's me and my dog, I have a free Facebook group where we talk about this work in real life. No training drills, no quick fixes, and definitely no judgment. It's a place for thoughtful dog owners like you who are trying to understand their dog and learn how to actually show up as a calm and reliable leader that their dog needs, without pressure, without perfection. So if you've ever thought, I get it, but I don't know what to do next, this is exactly the next place to explore. You can head on over to Facebook and search Living Beyond Obedience, or check out the link in the show notes. Come and join us when you're ready. All right, let's get to today's conversation. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Super duper welcome. If you are brand new, hello. Warm hug for you. Warm hug for you and the person that shared this with you. If someone shared this with you, warm hug for that person. I love to hear that people are sharing the podcast with their friends and letting them know that there is a space that exists where we can talk about dogs in a slightly different angle, not talking about constantly training them and working with them and fixing behaviors, but rather understanding them at a deeper level, building up a relationship of trust, focusing on that rather than focusing on a perfect heel. Such good stuff. Now, all of that to say, if you are brand new, just so you know, this is beyond obedience, okay? It's not instead of obedience, right? It's certainly not we hate obedience. We love obedience. Obedience has its place, absolutely. That's not what we're saying. But what we are saying here at Beyond Obedience is there's so much more. There is so much more than obedience. And I think this space is quite often overlooked. And even when people think they're looking at it, because you'll hear a lot of buzz terms now, you hear a lot of people talking about, this will fix your relationship with your dog, or if you don't have the right relationship with your dog. But I don't think anybody really defines what relationship is to a dog, or more importantly, to your dog. Or your unique relationship. Your relationship is unique. There's no cookie cutter relationship out there, friend. My relationships with my dog isn't what I'm trying to get you to do with your dog. You're a different person than me. Your dog is different from my dogs. So we don't want to just blanket statement, fix your relationship. That's not how we do. That's not how we do. All right. Today I wanted to, I've done a lot of reflecting. We've been sitting back. We've been thinking about stuff. There's something coming up. I'm just going to put that out there. There's something coming up. Very, very exciting coming up next month. But before we start talking about it, I wanted to kind of lay some foundation work here. Because I wanted to talk about this idea of the fact that, there's a phase, I think almost every thoughtful dog owner reaches. And that phase is where you start to understand your dog. Like if you've been following me for a while and you're like, I'm really starting to get my dog. Like I get my dog now. I'm starting to understand. I'm starting to see the world through the dog's eyes. And you're understanding the dog really, really well, but nothing's really changing, right? Like there's not any great, huge change. Not the kind of change that you will see if you were, say, focusing on obedience. Like if you were focusing on obedience, you're like, my dog now understands this, But there's a different vibe here. And I don't think that anyone really talks about how confusing this particular phase can be. Because on the surface, it looks like growth, right? Especially within ourselves. We're like, I really feel like I'm getting my dog now. But underneath, it can quietly become a bit of a stall. And we can definitely get stuck here. We can get stuck with this, like, I'm starting to understand it. And then what? Right? Right? Because awareness of your dog's instincts, awareness of your dog's genetic resume, awareness of fear and how dogs process fear isn't the same as leading them through it, right? Awareness is not leadership. Understanding fear does not equal guiding them through it. Empathy for that fear doesn't equal influence. And validation doesn't really give you direction. So your dog doesn't need you to understand why they're afraid anymore. At some point, they need to know what happens next. And so do you, right? Because sometimes we can get stuck here. We call this like you're stuck in like a safety zone, right? And maybe it's because you start to understand it, but then you stop pushing because you don't want to do more harm. And I completely understand that. And don't get me wrong. I think I still have moments where I'm like, is this going to make it worse or better? Right? But you stop asking because you don't want to be unfair to the dog, or you stop moving because you're scared of getting it wrong. That's a big one for a lot of us, especially when we're working so hard to be, incredible pet parents, dog moms, partners. We're terrified of getting it wrong. And suddenly everything becomes very compassionate, everything comes calm, but also very, unchanged, right? We just kind of stay here. But dogs and your dog is not going to grow confidence from being understood alone, right? Understanding it isn't going to necessarily change it. It's just going to help you figure out how to change it. And this is where I think a lot of us are getting stuck, right? Confidence comes from successful navigation. I often think clarity also comes from motion. More clarity comes from actually doing, right? We can sit back and go over the notes again and reread certain books and watch a video over and over again. But confidence and that clarity comes from action. We need to actually do something. And leadership at its core means going first, right? Like leader that at its core, it means like I'm going to lead. I'm going to go first. And dogs need that experience. Not only do they need the experience, they need to fail. They need to come out the other side. They need to experience fear. They need to come out the other side. But they need that experience, not just the empathy of it. So, I mean, how interesting, right? You've heard me say it before. If you've heard me say it once, you've heard me say it 100 times. How interesting when your dog offers up a behavior. How interesting. And I still want you to do that. Please hear me when I say that. I still want you to do that. How interesting exists to take away the judgment and the blame and all of that stuff. Instead of blaming the dog, blaming yourself, blaming whatever, you're going to stop yourself from doing that by going, how interesting. My dog responded this way. How interesting. But then what? What do we do about it after the how interesting? There comes a moment when understanding your dog stops being the work that you do and becoming someone they can rely on starts being your new work. That's your new step. You're like, okay, what is the next step? Good question. Good questions. Because if you're sitting here thinking, like listening to this and thinking, I get it, and I think I might be here, I want you to know this isn't failure. It's a threshold. Like you're at a threshold. And thresholds are meant to be crossed, not camped out in. And that's exactly what we want to do. That's exactly where we want to take this. Next steps. What do we do? And here's the part that I want to leave you with today. You don't cross this threshold by forcing yourself forward. You cross it by deciding you're no longer going to stay where you are. That decision may look quiet and it might look really slow. And it might simply look like you saying, okay, I'm ready to show up differently. But you don't need to know every step just yet. You just need to know that you're going to stop camping out in that threshold. So if this episode stirred something in you, I don't want you to rush to fix it right now. I know that's going to be your instinct. Like, Tracy, tell me how to fix it. I just want you to sit with it for a second. Notice where your dog is asking for more from you. Not more commands, but more presence. That's where the change actually begins. And when you're ready, we'll keep talking. Okay, I think I'm going to end there. I think that's a good place to end. Listen, if you like this sort of thing, can you do me a favor, my dog loving friend? Can you head on over to Apple Podcasts, give me a 5-star written review? Really helps push the podcast out. I know I keep reminding you of that, but it's true. Share it with a friend, share it on your socials. Anything that you can do will really help me out and bless the show. If you are wondering where you can find a great connective group, consider joining the free Facebook group, Living Beyond Obedience. That's a great place to hang out. Share your pictures, share your comments, share your stories, all of that over there. And as always, my dog loving friend, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you're amazing. And so do I. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only. It is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now. I'm leaving that in there. I'm a human. We make mistakes. If you heard this all the way to the end, let me know. Bye.